Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my video on BMW's brand new and gorgeous M440i. If you missed my first video on one of these, there'll be a link to that somewhere up here. I actually take that car out onto a private test track and push it to my abilities, and we also test out BMW's claimed 0 to 62 figure of 4.5 seconds. We soon discover that that is a very conservative figure, typically BMW. I've actually had this car for the past 5 or 6 days and done quite a few miles in it, so I feel like I know it a lot better than when I first tried it. I'm sure most of you will agree that this particular spec of black sapphire and Tacora red leather is spot on for the new 4 Series. I think it works really well, especially around the front end with the controversial grille. I posted a picture of this on my Instagram a couple of evenings ago, and throughout the night it got 4,000 likes and about 160 comments. 155 of which were really positive. Now, I get criticised for saying that people are coming around to really liking the new 4 Series and the new M3 and M4, but it's true, it's factually true. I see it on my social media, I see it on my Instagram, I see it on my YouTube channel. The more you see these things, the more they grow on most people, but I do respect everyone's got their own taste and their own opinion, and if you don't like the 4 Series and in particular the grille, then obviously I completely respect that. But what I must say is, when you've seen a few in the flesh and you've seen a few driving around, they definitely grow on the majority of people. While we're on that subject, why not go over and give us a follow on Instagram? You'll see cars like this way before it turns up on the channel, and you can also ask me questions about the car and give me some guidance as to what you want to see in videos like this one today. This particular car is a fairly well-spec'd press car. The M440i starts at around £53,500 here in the UK. This one is just over £61,000. So let's have a look at the full spec. We've already talked about the black sapphire metallic paintwork. That is standard, or a standard colour rather, so you don't have to pay extra for that. As is the gorgeous Tacora red leather inside. On top of the standard spec, we've got the visibility package, which consists of BMW's laser lights and high beam assist. We've also got the Shadowline Plus pack, which consists of the black 791M alloys, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but to be fair, I'm not the biggest fan of any of the wheels that are available on the 4 Series at the moment. So hopefully a bit further down the track, BMW will give us the option of some slightly more attractive wheels, but again, that's just my personal opinion. That package also includes the black mirror caps and individual high gloss shadow line with extended contents. Basically what that means is, with this flagship M440i, it would normally come with some cerium grey canards and bits on the grille, but this car's been completely blacked out. This also has the Comfort Plus pack, which gives you a heated steering wheel, very handy for this time of the year, a power boot lid, so you can operate that with your key, you can open it or close it with the key, and also there's a kick function underneath. It has comfort access, which is handy, but also makes the car a bit more vulnerable for stealing, etc. It has electric front seats with driver memory, lumbar support for both of the front seats, and extended storage, so a bit more practicality in the cabin and in the boot. The final and most expensive option fitted to this car is the Tech Plus package at £3,650. That consists of a lot of individual options, but the main ones being HK sound, BMW's drive recorder, which essentially records the last 30 seconds of your drive if you get involved in an accident. It's a little bit Big Brother-ish, but I think that's going to be standard fit in most cars in the not too distant future. Gesture control, we all know what I feel about that. But most importantly is BMW's fantastic head-up display and the driving assistant professional option. I think what we should do first is jump in and test out the driving assistance professional and the head-up display, and then take the car to one of my favourite roads and talk about what it's been like to live with. showing you what a couple of the options do. So first one is the driving assistance professional option, and part of that is a form of autonomous driving. Now, I've had this in my 7 Series for a couple of years now, and I've tried it in various new BMWs over the past 2 or 3 years, and it's a brilliant system because it doesn't intervene too much and it's not too annoying and frustrating to use. Now, I must admit that it works best on quiet roads that are well lit with good road markings, so a bit like the A1M that we're on at the moment, and unlike most UK dual carriageways or motorways in general, unfortunately. So this system does tend to work a lot better on the continent when I go through big road trips, especially through France on their beautiful toll routes and stuff. You just sit back and it takes so much pressure off the long drives, it's unbelievable. You're still in charge of the vehicle effectively, so you got to keep an eye on things, but you can just relax a lot more. Again, that helps when the roads are a lot quieter. So we're sitting here at 70 miles an hour, which is the UK national speed limit on dual carriageways and motorways. And at the moment, I've got active cruise control on. So what that will do is keep me at 70, and if I catch a car in front of me, it will start slowing me down using radars and stuff, unless I indicate to go around it, and then it will maintain the 70 miles an hour. So that's really cool. In fact, I need to change lanes here anyway because we're going straight on, and that left lane is a filter lane. Now, to change my active cruise control over to assisted driving, I just press this mode button and it's actually changed now. So I can now see on my digital dash that the car is between 2 green lines effectively, and that tells me that it is now taking control. So I can let go of the wheel, keeping an eye on things, being very responsible, but the car is doing its thing. If it thinks it's in trouble or it can't see any lines, it will start bleeping at you. You'll have lots of warning. In fact, it's telling me to put my hands back on the wheel now. It will go from orange to red. When it gets to red, it then starts screaming. So I'll just touch it again just to let it know that I'm still here, I'm still alive, I haven't left the car, I haven't jumped out the door. But once again, we're going around a nice left-hander here. I'll let this car go past just to be extra responsible. But now I let go of the wheel once again, and as you can see on the display, hopefully through this GoPro here, it actually shows you the cars that are in front. So it's always monitoring what is going on around us and in front of us, and there's loads of cameras doing lots and lots of work. Very cool bit of kit that works extremely well. As I say, it's not too intrusive and it just takes a lot of pressure off you on long drives. Lots of people have been asking about the real life efficiency of this new M440i, and in the 5 days that I've had it with mixed driving, I've been averaging around 40 miles to the gallon, which is very impressive for a car that will do 0 to 62 in about 4 seconds. Today's journey, we've done 25 miles since we left home. I live in a village. We started on A and B roads, then we're on the M25, and now we're on the A1M. I've also come to a complete stop on 3 roundabouts for traffic lights, so real life driving if you like, and I have averaged 42.2 miles to the gallon on this journey. And if I'd just done motorway driving, so if I reset it now and sat on this motorway at 70, I would easily average 46, 47 miles to the gallon at 70 miles an hour. Back on a UK B road, and that's where this car really excels. Its xDrive system really gives you loads of grip, and although it looks pretty dry out there, it's very slimy in places. What you do notice, and what I noticed on the first drive of the M440i, is the ride is a little bit harsh. Even when you're not back in comfort, which I'm in at the moment, it is more stiffly sprung than say the M340i, and you do notice that, especially living with it. I'm sure changing out the fairly average Bridgestone tyres to a set of Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's will improve the ride a little bit, and also offer you a bit more performance, a bit more grip, especially this time of year. I know I bang on about my tyres a lot, but it really does amaze me sometimes that manufacturers like BMW and Audi, in fact, seem to put really average tyres on some of their fairly hot cars, And then when you get up to the M cars and the RS cars, you tend to get much better quality tyres. So if you do get one of these, when you swap the tyres out, I can guarantee that a set of PS4Ss would improve the ride and handling so much more the second time around. In terms of living with this car cabin wise, it's just been an absolute pleasure. I love it in here. These seats are really comfortable. The driving position is spot on. Visibility is pretty good, not as good as the 3 Series. You've got the C-pillars back there that give you a couple of blind spots, but otherwise I really can't complain. I love operating system 7 and the iDrive controller. I love all of the buttons that I've got down here. There's not too much touchscreen going on. There is some if I need it, but I never ever use it. Head-up display, as we talked about, it's just a really lovely place to sit. The front of the cabin is nice and spacious and perfect for really large adults like myself. I'm 6'4", if you didn't remember that. But the back, well, there are 2 seats back there, but they are designed for much smaller adults. I'd say anyone over the height of about 5'8", maybe 5'9", is going to struggle back there. And not only that, it is a little bit claustrophobic because the rear windows are very small and obviously tinted. So it's not the best place to spend a lot of time back there, and it definitely feels a little bit tighter than the previous Gen 4 series. In terms of boot space, I've had quite a few people asking me about putting their bikes in the boot like I do with my M2 competition, and unfortunately my enduro bike doesn't fit in the boot with the seats folded flat. And the reason for that is the opening as you get into the boot's not quite big enough. But I have got an extra large enduro bike and I only take the front wheel off as a bit of a measure to see if it would fit. If I took both wheels off and broke the bike down a bit more, it would get in here, no problem. And in fact, with those rear seats folded, there is plenty of boot space. So if there's just 2 of you and you're going on a big journey using this car as a GT car, which pretty much is, then you're not going to struggle for boot space. We talked about the performance of this car a lot in my first drive video, and I just want to remind you that in wet conditions on private land, I managed to time this car from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 4.1 seconds using my GPS equipment. And I timed that over and over again. I think I did it 4 times, and every single time it was pretty much bang on 4.1 seconds. BMW quote or claim 4.5 seconds, which does confuse me a little bit because although BMW always quote quite conservative performance figures, that's a big chunk under what it can do. And I wonder if that's BMW just doing that to protect the incoming M3 and M4 that is initially, in this country at least, going to be rear-wheel drive. That's going to have a 0-62 figure of I think 3.9 seconds. So if they did quote this at 4.1, people would look at those figures and think, well, it's not worth the extra money buying a full-on M car. Let's put it into Sport Plus and over into manual and see what it handles like on a public road. Obviously I can't go too fast along here, but I was lucky to try that first M440i out on a little handling circuit, and I can tell you straight away that the xDrive system is amazing. It feels very rear wheel biased. When you pick up the throttle mid-corner, it's very slimy here. The car wants to rotate. It feels just like a BMW of old, so it still has that really important DNA. What I didn't realise on my first drive in this car was that it weighs just over 1,800 kilograms. A few people have pointed that out to me on Instagram, and I'm scratching my head around that figure because certainly with my little track experience in the car, it didn't feel that heavy. And now that I've had the car for 5 or 6 days and I'm aware of it weighing that much, it still does not feel that heavy. And I think that's because the weight is really low, it's got a lovely wide track, and it just manages its weight really, really well. Everything's very stiff, so it doesn't tend to roll around too much, and you're really not aware of its weight. Maybe on a dry track you would be aware of it after a while. I'm sure the brakes and stuff would maybe get really hot, but I'm very, very impressed with the fact that it does weigh that much and feels so good. I'm not impressed that BMW keep producing these heavier and heavier cars though. 1,800 kilos for a 4 Series is really not acceptable. is it worth the £54,000 asking price for the base spec car? I think it really is actually, because it comes with a lot of standard equipment, and although this one is over 60 grand, that's still not ridiculous money when you consider the incoming M4 competition is going to cost nearly £80,000 as a base spec car. So there's still a massive gap difference between the two. In fact, it's going to be around £25,000, and I think that leaves a lot of space for this car, because arguably down a road like this at this time of year, this is going to be the faster car, and for the public road, just under 400 horsepower, in my opinion, is enough, says me who's ordered a new M3. But I'm going to do a lot of track work and stuff with that car. And actually I got Tony Lewis to do a finance quote on one of these cars and the incoming M4 competition, because let's face it, most people, including myself, buy these cars on finance. So a base spec M440i with about £4,000 deposit is going to cost you £599 a month over 47 months. Whereas a base spec M4 competition with the same term, so 47 months, 4 grand deposit, that's going to cost you 950 quid a month. So we're talking about £350 difference between one of these and the incoming M4 competition, which, let me remind you, is still only going to be rear wheel drive. So when the xDrive version of the M4 competition comes out, the price difference is going to be even bigger. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see more content on this M440i, head over to the Yes Auto website and check out my particular section there. I do a video talking about 5 reasons you should buy one of these over the incoming M4 competition. Thanks a lot as always. Please stay tuned for the next video, hopefully very soon.